Hey there, cats and kitties. I am the Blues Man, Johnny Blues, and with this video, I'd like to talk about Doctor Who, specifically responding to a question put to me by viewer Labyrinth35 regarding what is my scariest moment for classic Doctor Who. And this, I have to admit, is a question I've really been struggling with as far as coming up with an answer, because I'm not somebody who scares easily with horror movies or Doctor Who or anything like that. Not as much as I might have when I was a kid. I mean, there are aspects of the Stones of Blood, the first story I ever remember encountering, that, did freak me out and stuff like that. And I'm sure there would be many times over that I'd be watching Doctor Who and be freaked out by monsters and stuff like that if I were a kid. But I don't really have that reaction watching it nowadays, and I can't really get myself into that mindset, with the exception of a story that I feel is the best I can kind of answer, this question with. Actually, one of two stories I'll be talking about is Tomb of the Cybermen, one of my favorite all-time stories. Patrick Troughton as the Second Doctor, traveling with Jamie McCrimmon and Victoria. This story, for me, I've talked about in previous videos how the two horror movies, Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho and the original Night of the Living Dead, were the closest I've gotten to ever being sort of scared and having that anxiety still play on my mind even to this day, even as an adult. And I feel like Tomb of the Cybermen, there's a level of the way that they depict the Cybermen in that story as they're slowly and methodically waking up out of hibernation, and very much akin, to the slow and instinctual movements of those zombies in Night of the Living Dead. It all equates for me that feeling you get of being afraid of the dark, or what's in the dark, lurking, that could jump out at you and hurt you, whether it be a mugger or a monster, At any age, even going back to caveman times, there was an instinctual primal fear that this really taps into well, I thought, with the depiction of these Cybermen. And then, of course, once the cyber controller, what have you, is revealed and they're talking about taking over minds and everything like that, it takes on a whole new connotation, of course. So that's one of the best approximations I can give as far as being, feeling fear or anxiety over a Doctor Who story. The second I'd like to mention is actually probably a surprising one, is Earthshock, a Fifth Doctor story. He was traveling with companions Adric, Tegan, and Nyssa. And without wanting to spoil it, I will say that a companion, a very important character to the show, one of the main characters, meets their end by the end of that story. And that was a very shocking and stark realization for me the first time I ever saw it, because all of a sudden, after a sense of relief, because I was kind of annoyed with that particular character and thankful to see them going bye-bye, suddenly I was hit with this stark realization that, wow, all bets are off with these companions, especially in the classic series, somewhat akin to Donna Noble's tragic end, losing all of the things that we cared about that character and seeing her reverted. It might as well have been her being killed off. I had only wished that Amy and Rory's pseudo-death, had actually had this much impact as this one with the character in Earthshock did, because it was a level of realizing, wow, these companions are often in danger and anything could happen. You never know, especially for those who are going into classic stories blind. I don't know the fates of all the characters. I don't know who lives and who dies. I've heard there are at least two or three pseudo-companions who have met an untimely demise, and it's going to be shocking every single time, I think. And so that was a very fearful realization that plays on that sort of, art imitating life idea of losing people in real life. You have to move on. You end up caring for this person, and you have to move on. Yes, it is a form of entertainment, but I think it really speaks to that loss. And, you're not going to see that character again. Of course, you can rewatch old stories, but there are no new adventures coming. Unless, of course, you get into the audio adventures, which I haven't yet. So I think that's about the best way I can answer that question, Labyrinth35. I hope you enjoyed the video and the answer. And I'd love to hear from anyone else who has a favorite scary moment from any, sort of era of Doctor Who, be it classic or modern, what that is. And otherwise, I hope you're all doing well. I'll catch you later. Peace.